children don't have the vocabulary to talk about their emotions the way most people understand, but they do feel.
The communication, this will work, this won't work, and agreement and alignment, so that it's easy when somebody is veering off. You can call the person to order. These are our, these are the things that would work for us in this relationship.
Silent scars. It makes you question, is there love? It makes you question trust. Hello and welcome to the Family Life Podcast. The podcast that is your one-stop hub for all life transforming family solutions. Now, one unique thing about this Family Life Podcast is that we here deal with experts. We also bring you tools that are from evidence-based, tested and trusted family life network approach. It's just a beautiful one because people these days stand up to say anything, anywhere, but we bring you experts. And because we know that we have the data to back it up, we want you to trust us. So today we have an interesting topic, a topic that those who have it find it rather difficult to have such conversations. But because we are your one-stop hub, we have thought it wise to bring this conversation to you. I have amazing guests with me today, and when we come back, I'll be introducing them. Welcome back. So before we left, I mentioned that I have very amazing guests today with me. They're not just amazing, but beautiful. And I think they are the best for this topic, if you ask me. So I would start with one of them. Oh, one is, by the way, one is fair, one is chocolate. Where do I start from? Let me start from the fair. All right, I have a fair lady by my side.
Hello everyone, my name is Alayode.
Alayode, have you heard that name before? And then to the one that they will say, this is my color. Let's meet you.
Everyone, my name is Aameenah Yunus-Ali.
Aameenah Yunus-Ali is her name. And so together we are going to be discussing an interesting topic, which I said is something those that go through it find it rather difficult to talk about because sometimes they feel ashamed of it. But if you own your story, it makes it easier for healing to come your way. Today, we're considering the topic, how to heal from a broken home. And this is something those who go through it sometimes didn't ask for. In fact, in most cases, growing up in a broken home can leave silent scars. It makes you question, is there love? It makes you question trust. It makes it even difficult for you sometimes to want to receive it because you're just suspicious of everything. But you know what? That's good news. And the good news is that you can heal. That's the good news. How to go about it, what to do to get healed, and even become a transforming agent yourself is what this episode will be doing for you today. So stick around if you're someone who is currently being faced with this or had previously gone through this phase of life. We would like you to be with us so that you can hear what to use and become a better version of yourself. So to get straight into this today, as I was coming in for this podcast, I had something that was quite intriguing in my ears. And I said, do you know that is what is called a fractured home? That is quite different from a broken home. Maybe you are like me, and I would like us to get that so that when you are in a situation or you have someone in that situation, you will be able to tell exactly what the difference is and probably provide a better solution because you have clarity. So let's start with Aameenah. Yes, Aameenah will do as well.
'Is there a difference between a fractured home and a broken home? Well, it's as different as when we consider a fractured bone and a broken bone. There's a complete separation when it comes to brokenness.
Okay.
When it's fractured, it's that there's an element of attachment, but it's not complete. So when we think about broken homes, we are thinking about people who have completely given up on the relationship. Perhaps we should even start by defining what a home is. A home is meant to be a place of safety, openness, motivation, complete engagement in the home. I like to call it HOME, honest, open, motivational engagement.
Okay, that's like an acronym for home.
Exactly.
So let's take that again.
Honest, open, motivated engagement.
Honest, open, motivated engagement.
Yes.
That's a new definition.
So if any of the elements of H, O, M, or E is missing, then we are dealing with fracturedness. Now, but if there is a complete lack of all the elements, then there is brokenness. Now you would see people who come from homes where one or both parents have completely checked out of the relationship.
Okay.
Both physically, emotionally, psychologically, they are just not present. Now, this is a broken home. But when it comes to a fractured home, you see them being together, but they are not together in terms of having that engagement fully, or being motivated by the spirit of the unity in the family, or even honest about their relationships in the first instance. So this is where the difference for me would actually be glaring.
Brilliant. And if you ask me, I would say that there are many homes that are existing in this fractured state.
Absolutely.
And it's also possible to, if not properly managed, for a fractured home to decimate into a broken home.
Yes.
Interesting. That is beautiful. So I'm thinking that sometimes the children who grew up in these two families may have some similarity in the way or the things that happens in that home, right?
The common theme with children who grow up in these families include the lack of trust. It is very difficult to trust that people can love you, because if the two people who brought you into this world are unable to provide a safe space in the home, it begins to tell on your psyche in a way that makes you distrust other people. It also makes you feel like, are you enough? This is where most of the self-esteem issues with children, particularly adolescents, begin to show up, because you begin to see them wondering if I'm enough. If I was enough, perhaps my family would have stayed together. If I am enough, perhaps my parents would not continue to fight every day, every night when they are together in the same space. If I was enough, everybody would love me and they would love themselves. So the definition, because now children don't have the vocabulary to talk about their emotions the way most people would understand, but they do feel. And it is from those feelings, those emotions, that actually the uncertainty, the distrust, the avoidant attachments begin to show up. And that's why we have those, whether you're from a fractured family or from a broken family, it is always the fear of the uncertainty, the fear of trusting another people, the fear of even love.
The question love, the question trust,
exactly.
The question their esteem. Who am I really?
Who am I really?
Thank you very much, Aameenah. And that was great and a good place to take off from. So that has set the tone for us today to know that the two of them are not what a home should be. I think we have been able to establish that. So, Alayode, I'm thinking, when it comes to a broken home, how has it shaped your view of love? Just like what she said, you question everything. So for a child who grew up there, got married, probably creating your own family now, how has it shaped your understanding of love? How would you say that you resent? Let's hear what it feels like.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so like the definition Aameenah gave, so I didn't come from a broken home because my parents were together. But there was some dysfunction and some fractured relationship that growing up I experienced.
Okay.
So I mean, for instance, when my parents started out, both of them were working and all of that, and at some point, my mom stopped working, and I saw how that lack of financial stability impacted you know,
the home.
The power dynamics in the home and all
Okay.
of that. And, you know, somehow you're not just able to contribute, you're not able to engage in certain things. And that's sort of, I saw my mom, you know, voice being silenced. You know, there were some things that she just stomached because, you know, she didn't have the financial empowerment. You know, so growing up and being a bit self-aware of, okay, this is the situation in my home and I don't want this. You know, so being self-aware that this lack of financial voice, for a better way to put it, was as a result of the power dynamic. So, I mean, when I wanted to, you know, when I was starting out in my relationship and all of that, I was aware that, you know, there needs to be some power dynamics and all of that. At that time, I didn't even know that that's a term, you know, but understanding that, you know, you are equal. And, you know, for structure, the man has been placed as, you know, the head of the home. But that doesn't silence your voice as a woman. You also, you know, exactly. It doesn't silence your voice as a woman if you want to maintain the structure and order of a home so that, you know, your home progresses. So that was, you know, a good, because of my self-awareness, you know, it gave me a good landing, a good place to start
you had a better understanding. So you didn't build based on what you had experienced per se. So your awareness helped you. That's beautiful to know. And I was just looking at it as you were speaking, and I just said to myself, so what are the patterns? I mean, this question is for you. What are the patterns a child who grew up in this environment, just like Alayode experienced the part of a fractured home? What are the fears, the repeated patterns that, if not properly managed, because she escaped it because she had some knowledge, and so that's created a level of awareness for her. So for those of them who haven't known this, what are the likely patterns or fears that could be repeated from children who grew up in this kind of family?
Nice. Okay, so let me share a little bit of experience that would help us to understand, because I think it's also very easy for us to think that brokenness or fractured family dynamics. Actually, fractured family dynamics may also exist in the place of grief. So my case, for instance, was that I lost my dad when I was 4, and that grief made my mom become the breadwinner of the family.
That was pretty early.
Yes, pretty early, and it made her pay less attention to the children and try to just figure out how the finances was in family was going to look like. Now, experiencing that for me meant that, okay, I asked myself key questions. So how come there wasn't enough? Why was she always worried? Why was she always worried about finances and things like that? And I decided that, okay, so as soon as I grew up, I was going to be financially buoyant. I wasn't going to rely on any man to feed me or clothe me, so that even if anything happens. Now, that comes from a fractured sense of responsibility for what happened in my childhood. For some people, it is that they would experience the tug of war between their parents, and then they would decide that I am going to be the one who makes the decision for myself. Nobody. So partnership is already removed from their vocabulary just because they continuously experience that friction and conflicts with their parents. For some people, it is that they cannot even trust that love is everlasting. So they are in need to get whatever it is they can get now. Immediately, okay, so are you able to provide this AB? You know, you have this long checklist of materialistic.
So that's how the past is connecting to the present.
Fantastic. So, you know, you begin to feel like, okay, so if this checklist are not met, then this person is not for me. Forgetting that beyond the tangibles, there are also the intangible means of engagement that one needs to look out for. Other patterns could show up as just you are willing to be in a relationship, but you're afraid to commit. So you have people who use terms like, oh, I have commitment phobia, or I have commitment issues. Or we even use terms like, oh, she has father issues, or
trust issues.
Or trust issues. Or mommy issues, or trust issues generally. And all this really comes from the fact that the earliest experiences for most of these people, for people like even I, was always that anything can happen at any time, so you have to look out for number one. And number one in the sense was you. So you have to take care of yourself. And it will seem, if one is not careful, that these people were selfish or they are being self-centered or being egotistical. But again, this is what trauma looks like, because it comes to you as though that there's nobody that is going to take care of you if you don't take care of yourself. You're afraid to lean into another person just because you know that it is temporary, or you believe that it is temporary, and the world could shift at any time. You are constantly afraid. I remember that the first few years of my marriage, I was constantly in the space of asking my husband to check in. And it became too much like, why must he check in?
Yes.
If I've told you that this is where I'm going, this is where I'm going. But I had to deal with the fact that this was coming from a place that my dad said he was going somewhere, and then he didn't check in, and then he never came back.
Yeah.
And I didn't know the impact of it. So I had to deal with my own fears first. So the patterns are overlapping in terms, and some people it's just anger. You just don't know what you're angry about. You can't be satisfied with, though your partner will be willing to give you everything, and you're still not satisfied. And you're like, what's going on with me? Maybe because as a child, you've experienced the lack of connection between your parents. You've seen how maybe one of your parents is always complaining that the other is not doing enough. And you begin to believe or begin to quote that as a means of engagement. The interesting thing about it is very easy for us to say, when I grow up, I'll do better. But when you grow up and you begin to see those patterns, they begin to show up because it hasn't been dealt with.
And so this is having a connection with relationships, like premarital relationship, when you are trying to get ready to, tie the knots with someone, and then you're a guy, you're a female, you're trying to come together. Things like this are things that need to
discuss them right off the bat. How have you dealt with
So
that's
there are different background differences, upbringing, differences in upbringing. So it's at that stage, you need to discuss what may be normal in one background, one family may be completely, abnormal. Exactly.
Or didn't even exist.
Exactly. And someone may be like, this, I'm not used to this.
Okay.
And, it's just because of how they grew up and the experiences that they faced. So it's important that you bring up these issues before.
So I usually tell young people, so rather than just buying shawarma and Cold Stone, it's a good time to talk about things like this. Because like you're saying now, both of you, I hear you clearly, it doesn't look like any fault of theirs, really.
It's no one's fault, not even the parents.
Okay.
Two people who start out, intentionally
start out to destroy themselves.
Exactly, or to destroy the children. Some would even stay just because of the children, But in staying for the children, they're also taking on an energy of dissatisfaction. They're bringing into the space a sense of disconnection that the parents would say, the children would say, why stay together in the first place? Right? So it's not like you start out wanting to end your marriage, but then we say life happens. But in life happening, are you able to take notes of what is shifting? Are you able to adjust your sails to meet the new expectations? Are you able to connect together to talk about it? That's where the engagement comes in.
Which is why we're saying that there's always a connection of the past to the present.
Always.
So, and again, just like in the case of Alayode, I think it's a beautiful thing too, because there can be a transformation of self-awareness. Because when you get to know where you're coming from, and then you talk about it, ready to talk about it, to deal with it, it increases your level of self-awareness. And then I just saw something as I walked into this room, and it says self-awareness is a tool, not a weapon.
Not a weapon.
So because it's a tool, it means it makes you start on an account that has already been built. You have something to draw from, more than someone to. So that's where I want the audience to look at. So it's not really bad that this happened. It's bad when you are not ready to work on it, because just like one of our guests has just said, it's no fault of theirs, even the parents, because nobody set out to destroy themselves. So I want you to begin to look at it. If you're someone who is in this kind of situation, or you have a friend or a family member who is involved, this cycle can stop. Healing can take place. So one thing I know about pain is that pain whispers lies, right? Well, how it does it is that it tells you can't work on this, or you're not better, you're not any better, but that's not true. You can really work on it. So I want to look at another thing that bothers someone who had experienced this and grown into adulthood, or even children currently in such a home. Why is it so hard for them to believe that they are worthy of a different story? Why is it difficult for them? What's as somebody who has also experienced this a little, why is it hard for them to believe that they can rewrite the story, they can be different from where they're coming from?
Okay, so it starts off with what you are used to, and you think that, oh, this is it. So if without knowledge and information, without you desiring for better, because you start off with, this is my life, this is what I've grown up with. Okay, so my parents don't really engage, and this is your reality. But with self-awareness, with information, and a desire to live better than what you grew up with, what you experienced, so I mean, it starts with you desiring for more, and you
so they finding it difficult. Is it okay? So some form of resistance is like, why are they finding it difficult? Is it because they feel that there's enormous work to be done, or they think that I can't change? This is
so it starts with I can't change, or this is big. Particularly if the experiences are really grievous.
Yes.
How did I get here? And maybe this is how I'm going to end up. How can I get out of this? This is my experience. But with information, and you saying that you are not the only one. People have experienced this, and people have come out of this. So information is power. It can improve, it can change your dynamics. So that's really key.
Okay, so I just hold that thought. Let me comment. Can someone break free from these cycles, either professionally or spiritual help? Is it possible? Like Alayode is saying, yes, I don't break free, but is it possible?
I think I like to think from where she stopped in terms of your information is power.
Okay.
But the will to continue on the path of that information is another thing entirely.
Okay.
So here's the thing: when you've grown up in a particular dynamic, your brain is rewired to cope for that dynamic.
Yes.
Anything that is different from that situation would shock you. It's like, I am so used to living in fear of my daddy is going to come, my daddy is going to come. Now you're an adult, and your idea is the father is the head of the house, but you're married to a man who is like 10 times older than you.
Okay.
In your mind, you're married to your father. So your mind will always continue to, like you said, pain whispers lies. Your mind will continue to trick you that your husband is coming, your father is coming, your husband is coming, your father is coming. So you're in that state of anxiety.
Yeah.
Now, to break away from it would be to first make the person that you were when you were 5, 10, 15, always afraid of your father, calm down. You are not at that age anymore. You are not in that situation anymore. You are not married to your father.
You're married to a different person. I'm probably in a different dispensation.
And you're in a different relationship.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that makes it difficult for people to break the cycle. The fact that they haven't been able to separate their past from their present. Yes, the past will show up in the present, but you need to heal the past so that you can be completely present now.
To live in the moment.
To live in the moment. Because if you don't, then you will be in that situation where you are feeling stuck and you are reacting
dragging the baggage of
you are reacting based on what has happened to you in the past and what is happening to you now. So again, it is, to break away from the cycle, it is first and foremost, where spiritually, in fact, even with spirituality, you still need a modicum of professionalism in recognizing what the patterns are. It is not enough for someone to tell you that, oh, that is gone, that is past. Logically, you know it is gone. Psychologically, you aren't living in the present.
Logically, you know it's gone, but psychologically,
you're not living in the present. And that is where professionalism comes in. Because they're able to help you unwind, unravel, and separate. And you can heal and say to your 5-year-old self, you know what? Yes, what happened to you was awful. I'm sorry that happened to you. but we are okay now. We're safe. Because in spite of what happened then, that anxiety of constantly looking at your back, looking over your shoulder, that anxiety of constantly seeing two people that you love most drag each other.
It's still a reality to you.
It's still a reality to you.
So this is what we refer to as the conscious resistance. So there must be a way to bypass the conscious resistance.
So you have to get into that space of really soothing that child in you, so that the adults in you can show up.
And also replacing those pictures, those old pictures with new pictures.
New pictures.
Possibilities.
Changing the narrative.
Exactly.
This is so revealing, because we don't really know how much of these experiences that are deep-seated inside us as we daily grow in that home and even left the home growing up. We don't know how much of it has been deposited. So there's really need to look at these experiences and deal with the trauma. I think we have childhood trauma. We even have adults.
I give you an example.
Okay.
If somebody walks into the room
Yeah.
and I'm engrossed in what I'm doing, and you don't tell me what is that you are there, and I look back and I see you, even though I know we are the only two people in the house, I still feel shocked and scared. Why is that? For 4 years in my childhood, early adolescence, we had armed robbery attack. And there were always, that sense of hypervigilance.
Yes.
So I grew up with the fear of, if I see somebody that I'm not sure, like I wasn't expecting in my space, even though I know you are in the same compound or in the same house as me, I get scared. And I remember my husband would ask me, but we are the only two people in this house, what were you expecting? And I'm like, you know what, it's just an inbuilt response to a trauma.
And if not properly managed, can even lead to panic attacks.
Exactly. And that is what happens in a relationship. Somebody says to you, oh, shut up, my dear. And you're like, how dare you tell me to shut up? What did I do to you? And
That's
you're just
disrespectful.
throwing it into a tantrum. But what if that person is not the person that you're seeing? Perhaps what you're seeing is the
face and the voice of...
Yes, and the voice of a parent who had shouted at you and said shut up, and you felt disrespected, you felt disconnected at that point in time, and you're only reacting based on that. And this is what happens in a relationship. This is why even as young adults, while you're growing up and you're getting to know each other, what do they call it?
When you're getting to know each other, is it getting?
There's a name for it that Jesus is used now. Talking stage. That you're still in the talking stage. You don't talk about those deep stuff. But you need to talk about your fears. You need to talk about your strengths. You need to talk about your expectations. And the thing I always say is this: people change. We just forget to tell each other.
You're right.
I would grow. The person I am 5 years ago is not the same person that is speaking right now. I would grow up. But if you don't get in tune or attuned to how I am growing up, you will just wake up one day and you feel like you are sleeping with a stranger. Because you haven't talked to each other about your changes, about your different expectations, about the exposures that you've now been experiencing that has made you shift certain things about yourself. And that is where fractured experiences in relationship begin to show up. And it is one of the reasons that couples need to talk to each other.
Those things are so deeply connected and very much palpable. Because oftentimes when we have this, we may not have two exact persons have exact experiences. So that even makes it more pronounced. Because I don't know what you went through, and then I'm coming to you, I'm viewing from my own lens, and you are viewing things from your own lens. So I think this is just a very beautiful and timely topic, especially for singles, because it's always good to deal with this before entering, establishing that home, so that the offspring of that home would not be experiencing what you went through, because we need to break the cycle. So the next question would be, for someone who wants to break the cycle, how do we go about it? Alayode, before you will also make comments on that. How do we, because you have been able to open up everything for us. We are seeing how connected our past is to our present. If we don't deal with it, how much where some of the things or attitudes we are even exhibiting is coming from. So I am now willing to make a change. What do I do? What are the steps?
Like I said earlier, it starts with self-awareness and the willingness to engage, to change, to realize, is this working for me? Can someone tolerate this? Is this something that I can bring into my marriage or into my relationship, and it would, it would work. It will make my marriage work or make my family thrive. So it starts with that self-awareness and engagement.
Okay.
Engagement and acceptance. When you have this engagement, there's no need for, you to, is this what I can take, and is this what I can proceed with, in this relationship? So that handshake, you have your own experiences, your partner also brings on board their own experiences, and there is the communication. This will work, this won't work, and agreement and alignment, so that it's easy when somebody is veering off. You can call the person to order. These are our, these are the things that would work for us in this relationship.
I like that, and I hear you clearly, because that self-awareness makes you to first and foremost acknowledge the truth. It happened, and that's where you found yourself. But then the willingness also to go ahead and then be ready to make the changes, because when it is told, when it's mentioned. So are you going to add anything to it?
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I did when I was in my 20s, and it was that, you know what, put pen to paper, write out what your fantasies were when you were young.
Oh, you did that?
Yes. You write, what kind of home did I
wish?
What kind of home did you wish that you wanted, that you came from? Two loving family, you come back from school and they're all lovey-dovey, they hug you, they are connected to you.
Those were your dreams.
Those were my dreams.
Even when you weren't experiencing that.
Because you see, fantasies are the bedrock of your wishes.
Oh, sure.
And it's free. And they're the things that would interrupt your reality if you're not careful.
Yeah.
Because one minute you recognize that, Mr. A is not available to give me this. But because in your head you've written a script and signed and delivered it to your mind that this is the reality that you want to live.
Yeah.
But Mr. A is not aware of it. So one of the things that we did was to put everything, the dreams, the fantasies. How did I wish I grew up?
Okay.
And once that was done, what is the reality now? Right?
Yes.
Now, in what ways can my fantasies meet my reality? What are the things that I need to do? I needed to heal. I need to find a safe space. I need to be able to express my boundaries without feeling like everybody or the whole world is
against you.
Those were the practical steps that I recognized from the difference between my reality and my fantasies. By the time you are done with that list, I'm promising you'll begin to see that some of the things that you're accusing other people of, actually you are the one that needs to make the shift and make the adjustment. There's something we call expectation gap.
Okay.
Something you want and something that is available to you. If you can find the difference, you can be able to tell, is this person able to give it to me? So you grew up in a fractured family where your mom was probably always shouting at your daddy, always dissatisfied, and you're a young man who never wants to be in that position. So you've told yourself that all women are gold diggers, and you do not want to be in that situation. So you're looking for a lady that is going to respect you and say, yes, sir. You will say, sit down. The lady will say, you too, okay, no problem, sir, and everything. That's your expectation based on your past. What kind of family would you rather have come from? I wanted a family where, I wanted to see my mom and dad hug each other. I wanted to have seen that there was always that connection, and we could laugh, we could dance and everything. That is the wish that your present is asking for you. Would you get it from this person that's always saying yes sir, yes ma'am? The person is probably even so scared of you, they cannot even tell you that, I want us to laugh and dance. Would that give you that in that instance? So now you can begin to see where the difference between your reality and your fantasies are actually making your expectation gap wider. And if you can identify that, actually you can begin to find your way back to a proper thriving family.
So we fill up that gap.
Yes.
And then we get better. When we don't, we get frustrated.
You get frustrated, you
that's
get
what
angry.
Happens. Yes, that's what's happening. Because when your expectation is not met,
what you experienced.
Yeah.
So I hear that you acknowledge first and foremost what you're going through. You sit down, put it down, what do you want and what is the reality, and then look at it and match up the gap. So for Aameenah, you were able to do that. I'm still wondering, is it that you met a therapist? Is it that you met a professional? I don't know. So you did it?
Yeah, well, I did this before I went into therapy. I did eventually go into therapy.
Okay.
Right? But I did this before I went into that because I used to read a lot.
You must be a super brain. Because
I was always interested in wondering. Because if you watched movies and you're always looking at these things and you're like, all these ideas and movies did not drop from vacuum.
Why can't I experience?
Possible.
Why can't I experience this?
Exactly.
So that reminds me as a child when they are doing adverts and I see a woman well made up, very beautiful, like cooking. So I'll now go to my mom. Why can't you look like this? And I say you don't have sense. So you don't know that this is an advert to promote this. If you really want to do, are you going to get all painted up like this?
But you see, what you interested in? Why?
So I get what you're saying. So I think this has been a beautiful time. Aameenah was able to do that. She says she was exposed to a lot of reading, a lot of watching televisions. But there are people who may not be right now, and they would want to probably speak to a mentor, speak to a therapist, speak to a coach. So how will they reach you? Because now that we are finished exposing everything to them, if it's me now, I'll be asking, how do I meet this auntie? How do I meet this auntie? So let me start with you, Alayode. What's your handle? How can they reach you?
Okay, Instagram, Alayode Omotunde, and recently I opened a TikTok account. I'm on TikTok as well.
Oh shit!
To reach the younger generation.
Yes.
Because like we said, it's good to have this information before you get into marriage. Whilst you're still preparing for it, to make the adjustments that you need to.
You need to.
Yeah.
And
so
then when you are being handheld too with a coach, because two of you may not have experienced it that way, but now the time, like I said, the dispensation is granting them that advantage.
Absolutely.
So Aameenah, how do they reach you? What's your handle? Because they would
Mine
want to.
is at Aameenah21, and that is AAMEENAH21. So that's my handle. And you can also send a WhatsApp message.
So it's been an amazing time, and for the network, the Family Life Engineering System Network, we have Pro Life Family _. So it's a beautiful thing. Anyhow you look at it, over there we have pool of therapists, pool of coaches, pool of practitioners, just in case, even if you don't want these two people. I have plenty people. Just send a message, a DM. Slide into the DM and then you will have what you need. Whoever that is tailored to your problem, I'm assuring you somebody will be able to speak to you. So it's been a beautiful time today on this episode. Like you said, this episode is something, even when you're married, you need to look at it again, especially if you didn't do that before going in. But one thing I'm taking away today is that you're not bound to repeat what broke you. That's what I'm getting from both of you. Yeah. You're not bound to. And the cycle can stop. We've borne a lot. We've borne enough. The cycle can stop. Things like this are not things that build. So why do you want to hoard it? Why do you want to keep it and keep growing in it and then giving out less of yourself? Because that's what it does to people. You are actually supposed to be a person filled with love so much. Some of us are very compassionate people, but this whole arrangement now twisted it. Yes. So why live short of who you ought to be? Some of you are very wonderful souls. Some of you are very sweet souls. But because of this upbringing, because of this environment, and that's why this episode is coming your way. You may not even have been in a relationship yet, or maybe you are and it has cost you 1, 2, 3, 4 relationships. But this cycle has to stop. You need to get it right. So get hooked to a professional or even a faith-based person that a mentor, a friend, somebody you think is accountable, and share your experience, because we want you to get better. We want you to have a better version of yourself and give out the sweetness that is in you. So until I come your way again, I'm Lucy Samuel, and like I said, subscribe to this channel. Look, this channel is going to be bringing so many family-related issues. Like I said, evidence-based, insight from evidence-based, tested and trusted tools of the family network engineering approach, which is what distinguishes us. We don't stand up every day and be shouting like our social media people. You will have a place you can contact us and we'll have assessments that we can run with you. Remember, we are all certified, trainings that we had undergone, and we're ready to give you the best. Until then, please subscribe. You there? Subscribe. Bye.